For me, cinematography is thrilling because of that. You want to fool the audience into thinking they're actually seeing these people in a car driving around, and they're not. Hopefully, nobody can tell which was shot in a studio and which was a location. Hi, my name is Rodrigo Prieto, and I'm the cinematographer of The Irishman. The movie is full of very challenging scenes. Every day was a huge challenge. We shot a lot of it on sound stages, including a lot of the driving shots. In the studio, it's really tricky to make it look authentic. You know, what you see out the windows, what's outside is usually translate a big photograph, basically, right? And it can look totally fake. But how much light you put on it, how much in focus it is. We actually used huge LED screens, like the ones you see in Times Square, where we fed the imagery of the streets, which was shot in pre-production. Filmed with about 6 or 7 cameras all around, like looking even at the sky for the reflection on the windshield. So it ends up looking as if they were there. And even for the actors, when they're driving, they're looking at the street. And that is what's lighting them. Then Scorsese could do take after take after take after take, instantly. For the CGI effects of making them younger, every camera we had to shoot with 2 witness cameras. So in essence, it was a 3-camera rig for each angle. And we called it the 3-headed monster because, you know, it had 3 heads, but also all these cables and stuff. It could be weird for actors and kind of intimidating to have these 3 cameras, you know, looking at them, and then behind them shooting the other actor, and 3 cameras and all this monitors and teams and all that. So for me, it was important that even though all this was going on, when we're shooting, it should not seem like any of it is going on. Scorsese and the actors didn't want tracking marks on their faces. So that was one reason these witness cameras, those cameras were only capturing infrared, and the tracking marks were only visible in infrared. Another big part of the design of the look of the movie had to do with look-up tables. I wanted to emulate the passage of time with different still photography emulsions. And the reason is that Scorsese at one point told me that he wanted this to feel sort of like a home movie. But instead of Super 8 or 16, I proposed the idea of using photography, our memory of still photography, as a way of showing the 50s, 60s. There was a lot of color science involved, but we designed the look-up tables so that the 50s have a Kodachrome emulation, 60s have Ektachrome emulations, and then the 70s and beyond, I used an emulation of bleach bypass on the prints. In a way, if you see Frank Sheeran in his old age in the retirement home, you'll see that the color is drained from the image. Whereas the first images, when he, meets Russell Bufalino and all these things, are very colorful. That's Kodachrome. So it's a visual journey as well. The Irishman is now on Netflix.